December 6, 1492, Columbus arrived in Hispaniola, which was formerly referred to as Haiti, meaning mountainous land, by the Taino inhabitants. After building a small fort named La Navidad, Columbus left 39 of his men behind in search to find gold. The Tainos made an attack in return of a similar attack by killing the men and burning down their fort. Returning a year later, Columbus inhabited 17 ships and 1,200 men to expand the settlement. All he ended up finding is the physical destruction of La Navidad. For the first time, slaves revolted against Spanish rule in 1522. This was 269 years before the Haitian Revolution. This revolt was the first of many, as slaves fight against colonial rule throughout Saint Domingue's history using numerous types of resistance. Settlers from France began to inhabit western Hispaniola. Settlers known as dubious nature consisted of former pirates and buccaneers. In 1620, the British and French settlers increasingly occupied the western third of Hispaniola, which threatened Spain's claim on the island of its colonial empire. France sends a representative to Hispaniola to establish its claim on the island in 1640. In 1670, the French settlers began tobacco production. This started the transition to a plantation-oriented economy. The shift to plantations calls for much larger labor force, and the colonists began importing more slaves from Africa. From 1679 to 1704, there are 4 armed conspiracies organized by slaves. All slaves are aimed at the massacre and annihilated of their white masters. The rebellions quickly suppressed demonstrated the slaves' continual unrest and resistance. In 1685, indigo plantations are introduced to Saint Domingue. Colonists quickly find that indigo is extremely lucrative and begin large-scale production. The need for plantation labor is once more accelerated, and slaves are brought from Africa. In September of 1697, the Treaty of Ryswick, Spain recognizes France's preference on Hispaniola and cedes the western third of the island. The French call their new territory Saint Domingue, and the Spanish call their territory Saint Domingo. Saint Domingue, known as Pearl of the Antilles, becomes France's most lucrative colony, holding world productions record for sugar and coffee by the end of the 18th century. In 1700, large-scale, labor-intensive sugar production begins, creating a pressing need for labor force. Saint Domingue imports 2,000 slaves a year to meet the colonists' needs.
1711. The town of Cape Francis is founded by royal decrees. 1750. Free blacks begin to amass wealth and power. Many occur plantations, especially coffee plantations, in the West and the South. 1758. Francis Macandale is burned at the stake for organizing a failed rebellion. Whites seek to control the affranchised as their population grows along their wealth and power. This legislation was designed to frustrate their ambitions and prevent assimilation with whites, to forbid their affranchise to hold public office, practice privileged trades, assemble in public after 9 p.m., sit with or dress like white, gamble, travel, or enter France. These offenses are ruled punishable with fines, imprisonment, chain gang duty, loss of freedom, and amputation. Despite these restrictions, affranchised are still obligated to sign up for military duty between 15 and 45 years old. 1763. The 7-year war in Europe ends, and the Treaty of Paris was signed by British, France, Spain, and Native Americans in Europe and the North American colony. The colonists increasingly disagree with France's hold on their production, which prevents them from profitable trading with other countries. 1773. Over 800,000 African American slaves are brought to Saint Domingue. Over a third of them die within the first few years in the colony. Slaves imported during this time are primarily from the kingdoms of the Congo and Algalano. However, by this point, the Atlantic slave trade has expanded to the southeastern coast of Africa. 1776. The United States declares its independence from England. Many of the values encouraged in the new republic's Declaration of Independence influenced the thinking of the slaves in Saint Domingue. 1779. The Chasseurs Volontaires de Saint Domingue, a total of 700 soldiers, are instrumented in defeating the British in the Battle of Savannah. 1790. The French National Assembly dissolves the Colonial Assembly at Saint Marc. The governor of Saint Domingue amasses troops to dissolve it by force. The colony is now divided between royalists and patriots. 1791. The French Revolution had a great impact on the colony. Saint Domingue's white majority split into royalist and revolutionary factions, while the mixed-race population campaigned for civil rights. Sensing an opportunity, the slaves of northern Saint Domingue organized and planned a mass rebellion on which began August 22, 1791. When news of the slave revolt broke out, American leaders rushed to provide support to the whites of Saint Domingue. However, the situation became more complex when civil commissioners sent to Saint Domingue by the French Revolutionary government convinced one of the slave revolt leaders that the new French government was committed to ending slavery. What followed over the next decade was a complex and multi-sided civil war in which Spanish and British forces are intervened. The situation in Saint Domingue put the Dominican Republic Party and its leader, Thomas Jefferson, in somewhat of a political dilemma. Jefferson believed strongly in the French Revolution and the ideals it promoted, but as Virginia slaveholders, popular along other Virginia slaveholders, Jefferson also feared the specter of slave revolt. When faced with the question of what the United States should do about the French colony of Saint Domingue, Jefferson favored offering limited aid to suppress the revolt, but also suggested that the slaveholders should aim for a settlement similar to the Jamaican slaveholders made with the communities of escaped slaves.
The Haitian Revolution began in August 1791 when Duddy Bookman, a voodoo priest, gave the signal to revolt against the whites. Bookman died early in the uprising and his head was displayed by the French to scare his followers. Although this did not scare them, this only encouraged the 100,000 slaves who then joined the revolt. By 1792, slaves were in control of 1/3 of the island. Before being murdered, Bookman predicted that Jean-François Papillon, George Boissy, and Jeannette would lead the Haitian Revolution blacks to breaking the bond between slaves and their masters, which they did. Under the command of these three people, slaves destroyed 1,800 plantations and killed 1,000 slaveholders in only 10 days. France tried stopping the violence of the revolt by giving all people citizenship and the right to hold office. The French king was then ironically overthrown in 1793. Also, Spain and England invaded Saint-Domingue in 1793. Civil Commissioner Legard Félicité Sonthonax declared slaves in his district free starting on August 29, 1793. The French National Convention decided to abolish slavery in all territories on February 4, 1794. This announcement of slavery being abolished attracted Haitian General Toussaint Louverture to become an ally. Toussaint was a free black man who eventually joined Boissot's troops and negotiated with the Spanish in Saint-Domingue in order to send supplies to the rebels.
The rebel army consisted of 4,000 men that were trained by Toussaint in guerrilla warfare. Toussaint switched sides to the French in May 1794. He was an important aspect in defeating the English and Spanish that he formerly trained. Toussaint had a secret agenda, and he was not interested in restoring power to the French at all. Starting at his base in the north, Toussaint extended his control to all of Saint Domingue. The French government sent a new commissioner, Thomas Hideval, to attempt to form an alliance with André Rigaud, the mulatto leader in the south. The mulatto population held a great deal of influence in the south. Thomas Hideval was expelled by Toussaint in October 1798. Toussaint went against Napoleon Bonaparte, leader of France, by invading Saint Domingue in 1801 and brought the Spanish colony under French control. Toussaint had a suspicion that Napoleon would reinstate slavery in the French colonies. This made him enact a constitution on July 7, 1801, for not just an independent Haiti, but also for him to be governor for life. It became clear that the French intended to reinstate slavery in Haiti. The revolt in 1802 was a brutal French repression led by an army under the command of Viscount of Rochambeau. The remaining Haitians who supported the French joined Dessalines' troops and defeated Rochambeau's army due to it being weakened. Rochambeau's troops were weakened because of their inability to resupply, while the Haitian ports were blockaded by the British. The expense of fighting the rebellious slaves in Haiti and the loss of income from the plantations was devastating to French finances that were already bad to begin with due to so much war in Europe. While trying to recuperate from all his losses, Napoleon sold Louisiana territories to the United States for a bargain price. The last battle in the Haitian Revolution was fought at Vertières on November 18, 1803. The French were defeated by Dessalines. Dessalines then declared Haiti a free republic on January 1, 1804, and himself emperor. The new emperor ordered the massacre of the remaining whites of the French descent.
The revolution and the end of slavery in Haiti impacted multiple countries in the world. The natives' defeat of the three major European powers, France, Spain, and England, inspired movements against colonialism elsewhere. Shortly after the slaves defeated Napoleon, he decided to sell the Louisiana Territory to the United States. This is significant because the Haitian Revolution caused Napoleon to do so, and the obtaining of the Louisiana Territory led to the expanding of what would be the most powerful country in the world. In the English colony of Jamaica, slaves and free blacks were inspired by the revolution in Haiti. In 1831, the Great Jamaican slave revolt took place, where as many as 60,000 black rebels demanded more freedom and a fair wage for work. The Jamaican government killed hundreds of offending blacks and quickly ended the uprising. This rebellion was very similar to the Haitian Revolution. Haiti also served as an example for Latin American liberators. Haiti's example gave aid to the black Venezuelans who were trying to become independent from Spain. Simón Bolívar, the liberator of South America, retreated to Haiti after he lost to Colombia, and there he trained liberators to defeat the Spanish army. Haitian refugees from the Haitian Revolution immigrated to Philadelphia, New York, and Baltimore. Many white and free people of color joined southern Louisiana, where American plantation owners feared another slave revolt just like Haiti would occur. Haiti was a huge inspiration for slave revolts to come, but also spread the fear of the possibility of these revolts around the world.